Hey everybody, Jason Jimenez with Stand Strong Ministries and Viral Truth TV. You know, this thing about Target, their bathroom policy, quite frankly, is ridiculous. It is shameful to think that a company in America like Target, as large as they are with almost 2,000 stores, think that a guy like me, if I so choose to walk into any type of Target and say that I self-identify as a woman and walk into any restroom and undress in any women's dressing room of my choice. This is utterly ridiculous, and Target should be ashamed of themselves. You know, they say, and I quote, we believe that everyone, this is what Target says, that everyone, every team member, every guest, and every community deserves to be protected from discrimination and treated equally. They say our beliefs are consistent to the Federal Equality Act. The problem that the government has, like right now with North Carolina with the HB2 bill, is that they can't override that. This is a state issue. These are individual rights that Target is stripping. They're taking the privacy and safety of the mass majority, 99% of us, away for special rights and special treatments for a small class of individuals. Now, what's going to happen now, and what is unfolding, what's happening more and more, the more that people like Target do this, it gives opportunity for pedophiles, for sex offenders, for sexual predators. Now, I'm not saying transgender people are. My solution here, as many of you guys agree, is that give them a unisex bathroom, because I believe that if they self-identify with something that confuses the mass majority of us and could potentially put our children and women in harm's way or cause confusion or make them feel confused or uncomfortable, as well as a transgender person that I've spoken to in many cases out there as we fight for people's rights. I don't believe in discrimination either. So give them a unisex bathroom so they don't feel intimidated as well, but don't override and undermine the privacy and safety of my wife and my children and your wives and your children. This is a major situation that we need to face. Now, Target has already had issues in the past before they allow this inclusivity that they're arguing for, this type of equality that they're trying to advance in their stores, trying to be politically correct. In Texas, you had a person in Cedar Park. He was arrested because he exposed himself in a Target bathroom because he was taking advantage of this loophole, this opportunity to say, I self-identify as a woman. But he was a peeping Tom, and he took advantage of that opportunity. This was in Seattle. A man was caught undressing in front of girls' Green Lake locker room. He was exposing himself. They told him to leave. They were frightened. They were scared. The officials came, told him to leave. The authorities were then called. He said, I had a right to be here because of the law in Seattle. A man dressed as a woman arrested for spying into a mall bathroom stall, police say. This was in Virginia. Another case that we see similar to this is a man in California. This California man dressed as a woman busted for videoing for hours, by the way, in a lady's bathroom. And guess what? There was just recently, when this whole thing was unfolding in Target, a peeping Tom was caught filming women in Brentwood Target dressing rooms. My wife and I have shopped at Target for years. We've spent thousands of dollars, but no more. After this policy that Target has advanced, they think this is right. They think this is good for their company. This is good for society. This is good for their communities all over where Targets are at. I completely disagree with them. And as a result, we are choosing not to shop and to be a consumer any longer. Why? Because of this bathroom policy, because they're jeopardizing and undermining the privacy and safety of my wife and my children. They say, as a statement, as a company, the corporate Target says, we stand for equality and equity and strive to make our guests and team members feel accepted, respected, and welcomed in our stores and workplaces every day. What about us? Target, what about the majority of your consumers and your customers and a lot of your employees that I've even talked to that disagree with this policy wholeheartedly? This is not advancing equality. This is undermining the equal rights that we have as Americans. And it jeopardizes in the process. You can say what you want, but it jeopardizes the privacy and the safety. And this is bad for business, by the way. A couple things I want to show you guys about this whole issue with Target and this bathroom policy. It's bigger than just allowing somebody to go pee. You see a lot of these placards, a lot of these signs. I have a right to go pee. This is about sexual predators. They're being given access to target women and children over the safety of customers shopping at Target. This is what it's doing. We just showed all these cases that are happening right now with people taking advantage of these type of laws. So guess what, Target? Thanks to this bathroom policy, you're giving opportunity for more sexual predators to take advantage of this and to come into your bathroom stalls, your women's bathroom stalls, and your women's dressing rooms, and to violate the privacy and safety of women and children. You should be ashamed of yourself. Another thing, this is nonsense as trumped common sense. The fact that we're talking about this issue is completely despicable. It's nonsense. Gender identity, here's another thing. Gender identity is being advanced over natural biology. Gender identity and gender expression is so ambiguous and so confusing. That's why I can self-identify, even though I was born naturally a male, I can self-identify as a woman. And Target's saying I have a right, just as any woman who was naturally born a woman, who's taking her 6-year-old daughter to go to the bathroom, to use the stall next to them. And if I wanted to follow them into the dressing room and to change my clothes in front of them. This is despicable. Gender identity does not overturn natural biology. Another thing is equality has overturned morality. See, Target and a lot of these progressive type people from the left and a lot of the people within the LGBT community, they believe that they have a right to express themselves sexually or through their gender. And so they're fighting for equality, but what they're doing is they're overturning morality. Absolute morality exists. There is a right and there is a wrong. There are males and there are females. That is how God has designed it. Equality does not overturn morality, Target. And your political correctness, you are choosing that in place of God's holiness. And that's the place that we've become. Up to this point, as I'm doing this video, we have over 500,000 people through the American Family website that have signed this petition to boycott Target. I encourage you guys to do that. I encourage you to go to American Family Association, and I encourage you to sign that pledge. I, for one, want to say this. I stand with people who are confused, and I want to love them in Jesus. This is the gospel message that we have an opportunity through what Target's doing. Look, we're not really going to miss Target, okay? Shame on you, Target. You're losing a faithful customer that my wife and I have shopped at Target every week for years, like I said, but no longer. But a greater issue is the advancement of this that Target is doing that's jeopardizing the privacy and safety of women and children. And they are still standing on this. And until they do, we are going to continue to boycott against Target and other movements that are going to try to jeopardize and undermine the privacy and safety. This is not a fight that we chose to take. But in this fight that they have chosen to take against our privacy and our safety, we will be the light. So remember that. Be the light in the midst of this. Show love. Be respectful. Let's have this discourse in the public square, but let's don't hate people. Let's don't discriminate. Let's don't show bigotry. Let's show the love of Jesus Christ.